of a rough time in my life when I got a job. Getting a job is a great thing for the ones who want one, I've heard. I knew fairly early on, I had enough work experience to know that I wanted to make a living, I wanted to support myself, wanted to be independent, but I wanted to do all that without having a job. And I didn't know anybody who did that, so I went to college, and I was the first and only person in my family to go to college, and I was glad. And the first night of college, they had a freshman orientation coffee house. I knew about it ahead of time, and I signed up to play, and I practiced a bunch of songs, mainly from a book called The Greatest Songs of the 60s, edited by Milt Oken. Anyway, and by the time it came time for me to sing, I was kind of so nervous since it was my first day of college that my throat had kind of closed off, so I couldn't sing any of the songs I had practiced. And I don't know exactly what I did, but I remember I played the banjo, I played guitar, and I sang. And there was a guy also from New Jersey, I found out, who played mandolin and guitar and sang. And in the audience was a guitar player who saw the makings of a bluegrass band. So that was the beginning of the Razzie Dazzie Spasm Band. Yeah, I'll probably tell you more about them later. So I played that first night of college, and I played every coffee house they let me. Eventually I ran the coffee house program, but a few months after that first night, the guitar player in the audience, Doug Anderson, he took me to the professional coffee house on the south side of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, a place called Godfrey Daniels Coffee House. He was trying to get a booking for a friend of his who was a blues guitarist and songwriter. He just put out his first record, and so he'd bring in a copy of the record with him. They didn't have a show that night, but people were gathered in the front room, and they were playing music. I mean, there was a fiddler there and several guitars, and they passed me the guitar, I sang a song, and people seemed to be kind about it. And I remember looking up at the walls and feeling how what the place seemed like it was. I thought, this is what Greenwich Village must have been like in the 60s. It had this great bohemian sense of possibility about it. So I started to go to the open mics there, and to the shows. They would drop the price of the ticket in half after the first set. So I was able to experiment on people whose descriptions looked interesting on the calendar, but whose music I didn't know. And so I felt like I discovered this whole world of music I didn't know existed. There was no YouTube then. So I felt like I had discovered this world of music that was better than what I was hearing on the radio. It seemed more like the literature that I was studying in school. Anyway, I didn't know how. I thought if I could be like one of the people who plays here, that would be the greatest thing. And I kind of started heading in that direction, away from everything else. I didn't know how that would affect my studies, my scholarly stuff. So to have a more secure future, I became a philosophy major. So that way, if the music thing didn't work out financially, I'd be set, because I'd have all these big ideas to fall back on. And it worked out great. Upon graduation, I got a job delivering flowers, because I was qualified with my degree. And I did that for 3.5 years. Not to brag. And then I was offered a full-time job, and I took that job, and I didn't know if I was trading it in for a steady paycheck, so I wrote this next song in a deep pit of melancholy, despair, and woe. Especially woe. Thank you, I'm glad you pointed that out. All right, okay, so there'll be less talking as we go along here, so there's just something to look forward to. Okay. This is the title song of my second record, which had no happy songs on it whatsoever. But it was really long. It was really long. So if you were down there, it would keep you there. And if you weren't there, it would bring you there. It's some people's favorite. I'm not knocking it. It's called Land of the Bottom Line. I couldn't bribe a wino on what I used to make. My fortune was as sure as the wind. was free to wander, and time was on my hands. It was mine to burn and to bend. Freedom for freedom, call that an even scheme. Give me time to wonder and to dream. Oh, 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 oh. I need the money, they'll take the time down to the land of the bottom line, to the bottom line. Then there came a chance to make some steady dough, bouncing up my alley to the door. You fill your clothes with keys and damned responsibilities, trading the maybe for the sure. Freedom for freedom, call that an even scheme. Give me time to wonder and to dream. Oh, 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 oh. I need the money, they'll take the time down to the land of the bottom line, to the bottom line. Hey. All I ever wanted was to be a kid and play, fighting every change along the way. I don't like work, but I don't like waste. I don't like waiting for a taste. Freedom for freedom, call that an even scheme. Give me time to wonder and to dream. Oh, oh, oh. I need the money, they'll take the time down to the land of the bottom line, to the bottom line. Hey, hey, hey. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Well, thanks for clapping for